and my sister, your teacher. So this is probably, she's probably in high school, and I'm probably 6 years old. But this is how we make tea when we're in the old days. And if you go to tea shop right now in Wulauken, you can see this pot, because my uncle still make tea there. Okay? Do you remember how old are you?
7.
No.
17.
I don't think so. Okay, let's go down. So now, we'll just keep going down. So we're gonna focus on oolong tea, right? So why oolong tea, right? People ask, I like green tea, I like black tea. You guys only make oolong tea, I don't understand why. And the reason why is we think oolong tea is the best tea that you can make. Because when you do black tea, so you guys understand, if you have one tea species, so there's a lot of cultivar, 不同的茶叶种类, right? Cultivar. Each cultivar you can make white tea, green tea, black tea, oolong tea. It's the degree of oxidation that separates tea. It's not about tea plant, it's about oxidation. So today, the whole class, the only thing I want you to remember is oxidation. Because all the skill, the most important and hardest skill is in oxidation. So I'm quickly going through this. We have 3 things that we always talk about. So I want to tell you a little story. My mom, that who you just saw, she's about this high, right? She's 82, but she still drives. And she learned how to drive when she was almost 50, like 40 something. And the reason she wanted to learn how to drive is because she wanted to make the best tea. So we are locally in Yilan. So you guys know that Yilan does not have super tall mountain. And we rain a lot, right? So first of all, you want to make tea, there's 3 things. 天时地利人和. 天时 means you gotta have the best weather. 地利, you have to have a best mountain or tea garden. 人和 means you have to have a really good skill, like good chef, right? So my mom realized that she is very good skill and she could get a really good weather, but without being in the best tea garden, she'll never make the best oolong tea. So she started learning how to drive. And then when she drives, she's like this big. And she's very, very small, tiny, right? She had to put 2 cushions. And then she will carry gas tank behind her truck. Because whenever she goes to the mountainside and they get hungry, they will just park and they will cook rice, and only rice with a little bit of Thai ball. You know what that is? It's like the fermented pickle type of stuff. And that's how she go and find the tea garden. So she traveled around Taiwan, everywhere. All the tea gardens she visited, and every tea garden she likes, she'll go to the owner and say, I want to make tea here. And they're like, who are you, right? But after 25 years doing that, she pretty much know all the tea garden around the mountainside. So now, if she goes out, people know her. This is the only one woman that makes tea, and she's kind of crazy. She just wanted to make the best tea she could. But the reason I want to tell you that is because tea garden matters. And when you have a really good tea garden, you can make really good tea. Okay, let's go up. So we're not going to go through that. My sister will teach you about tea chemistry, because when you do tea tasting, that's what you want to learn. So everything about that, she's going to spend more time doing that. So let's go down. We want to find the right time, meaning that you don't want to pick tea that's too early, because when you pick tea too early, it's too fresh, and it's not mature, right? And you don't want to get it too old. So a lot of tea garden, when they produce tea, they want it to be as old as possible, because the weight is more weight. And if you make tea, you have more weight, you have more quantity, then you can sell more money. So there's a right balance between what time to pick. Okay, let's go down. Okay, this is super important in Taiwan. So when you go out, you want to buy tea. First of all, you wanted to know where is the tea garden located? Was it down at the 1,000 meter or lower? Or is it 2,600 meter like Dayulin tea, which is the most expensive tea you can find in Taiwan that makes oolong tea? So you can see it's a triangle. Because when you have the taller mountain, everything grows so much slower. And like in the lower mountainside, like here in Yilan, we can harvest tea 6 times a year. But when you go all the way up to 2,600 meter, this is only 2 times a year. So you can imagine each tea would take so much longer to grow, so they harvest a lot more energy around the environment. So the tea, right, is super rich. That's another reason that you really wanted to get as tall as possible. Okay, let's go down. I always tell people, in my family, we probably had 20, 30 tea masters. They all still in Wulauken, same region, and they all still have tea shop, but none of them can be as good as my mom. It's like I'm giving you all the ingredient. We all have same ingredient to cook paella. Let's say paella, I love paella, right? When I cook paella, I mess up. I don't know how to use spice, you know. I have exactly same thing, but then when you cook, you need something special. Great chef knows how to make all the material shine without adding so much seasoning. So her philosophy is always use the least amount to manipulate the tea making process and make the best tea. Let's go down. Right tea, meaning that you wanted to pick the right type of cultivar to make right type of tea. So if you want a black tea, you don't want to use Qingxing Oolong, like Hong Cha, right? Hong Cha white, Hong Yu is so good because people like the honey taste. And also, why you don't use that Hong Yu to make oolong tea? Because it's gonna taste like crap. So you gotta pick the right tea to make something. Like we are family, but we have different talents. So you cannot educate me with the same idea to educate my sister. We're gonna be totally different. So you gotta let each tea shine. So that's basic idea. Let's go down. So this is, if you guys have chance to visit tea garden, this is what it's gonna look like. All these tea pickers go really early, and they go to the tea garden. And this is in Jay Mountain?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I'm not gonna talk about that. Only one thing you need to remember is we really care about how tea aftertaste and how it tastes like. So the way we make oolong tea are very different than the majority of the tea farmer. Okay, let's go down. You just saw this, you were like, oh my God, headache. There's so many processes, I'm already simplified. So now you go through each one process until the end that you get the final drying. We learn how to make tea, meaning we learn by doing. So this whole process is afterwards. They give each name, a stage. But only thing I want you to remember is at the oxidation part. Okay, let's go down. So we're gonna pick tea, and you know after you pick tea, you only pick 3 buds. Everybody know that? Right, you only pick 3 buds. You don't pick more than that. Because when you pick too old, it's not good. When you pick too young, you lost the quality. So you only pick 3 leaves. Let's go down, like that, right? Let's go down. After you do that, you do what we call sun weathering. So you take this, we call it gale, out in the sun. This is old style, making tea. Nowadays, we don't do that. We use a bigger area, and then you can just do it much more efficient. But this process is so important, and it's so boring, and it's so hard. So when we teach people make tea, this is the only part I cannot tell you how to do it. Because you need to know how to read tea leaf. So you need to take the tea out, figure out where the water contents go in and out. So the whole idea about sun weathering is, when you pick the tea out, listen to me, this is the most important, it's the secret of making oolong tea. tea leaf has about 100% of water content. By the time you finish on your cup, it's only 4 to 5 or 3 to 5% of the water. So this process is taking the water out of your tea leaf and keeping only 3 to 5% of water content. So now, if you are a bad tea master, you will make that 3 to 5% water with a lot of impurity, a lot of bitterness, a lot of things you don't want. But if you are a good tea master, you know how to keep the 3 to 5% the best of the best. So you will keep whatever the most outstanding quality of that tea leaf, and you preserve it, right? After you preserve it, when you brew the tea, it comes right back to you. So that's the whole idea about doing this. So the way they do it is that you take the tea leaf, I'm going through just this part very slowly because it's so important, right? So you take that water leaf. When you go, the water kind of circulates from the bottom to the tea leaf. So by the way that the water comes out, all the impurity comes out. And when you finish, when you see that tea water goes all the way to the top and out, you need to immediately turn. So by flipping, you reactivate that circle again. So the timing of that turning is super important. And that's why we thought that this part of tea making is most important. And if you do that water process right, your tea will have a lot of aftertaste and will be super smooth. Okay? Any question? All right, now we're just gonna fly by. All right, let's go down. So that's how the oxidation, the water content I was telling you, from the fresh tea leaf all the way on top, all the way when it's finished to do the rolling. Okay, let's go down. So, and then we go through setting, go down, toasting, and then finally we're ready to do, we kill the oxidation. What that means is like you stop the water oxidation process by giving a high heat. Okay, let's go down. So that's how we do it. You put it in a super high heat, I don't remember what, 180 degree or something?
240左右
240
到320
So you go through that and you go down and then you do the rolling. And after rolling, you do the first drying. This is like preliminary drying. So only after this point, the tea master and tea crew can rest. Before that, every single minute counts. Because if you let that sit too long, your tea is gone. And if you can imagine like 2,600 meter tea, you only harvest twice a year, you have no luxury time to waste. So when you do the high mountain tea, every single minute counts. Okay, let's go down. And then you just do the whole process of shaping and let's go down. And you do the hand rolling and then hand sorting. So after hand sorting, sometimes we do post-production, meaning that we just run through another dryer. And that process can take 6-7 times. It depends on the tea. And you have to watch very carefully, which my sister does that locally here. So we will bring the tea back from the high mountain and then do this post-production part over here. Okay, and go down. And that's the whole process. That's pretty simple, right? Any question?